Breaking news today for every driver across the United Kingdom. The DVLA has officially confirmed a sweeping set of car tax changes that will shake the motoring world to its core. We are talking about the biggest overhaul to vehicle excise duty, better known as car tax, in decades. Whether you're behind the wheel of a petrol car, a diesel, a hybrid, or even one of the latest electric vehicles, these changes are going to affect you directly. No one is being left out. And make no mistake, this isn't just a few tweaks here and there. This is a complete rewriting of the rules. Drivers from every corner of the country, from city commuters to rural families, are about to feel the financial shockwaves. Welcome to Pensioners Power, your trusted source for everything you need to know about pensions, retirement planning, and financial wellness. Here, we cover the latest news, expert insights, and essential updates to help you maximize your retirement years. Whether it's understanding pension schemes, making the most of your savings, or staying informed about financial changes, you're in the right place. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an important update. Now, let's jump right into today's topic. Let's be absolutely clear. For decades, car tax in the UK has been calculated based on three main factors: the type of fuel your car uses, the level of CO2 emissions it produces, and the date your car was first registered. But starting in 2025, those pillars are being torn down and replaced with something much tougher. The government argues that the system must evolve. With electric vehicles now making up a bigger share of new car sales, the Treasury is losing billions in revenue from both fuel duty and car tax exemptions. So what's the solution? According to the DVLA, and the government make everyone pay. That means petrol drivers, diesel drivers, hybrid owners, and yes, even EV drivers who were promised a lifetime of tax exemption will now contribute. Let's talk petrol cars, the largest group of vehicles in the UK. Millions of households own petrol cars because they've always been considered reliable, affordable, and relatively manageable in terms of annual tax. But that's about to change. Under the new rules, the tax bands are being recalibrated. That means cars that once sat comfortably in the middle or lower tax groups will now be pushed upwards because of stricter CO2 thresholds. Picture this: a family hatchback that currently costs around £180 to tax each year could soon jump to £350 or even £400. That's an increase of £150 to £250 annually, money straight out of the pockets of families who are already struggling with rising bills. And for larger petrol vehicles like SUVs or cars with engines above 2.0 litres, the pain will be even greater. We're talking about increases of £400 or more per year. And remember, this isn't just for new cars rolling off the production line. These changes apply to existing cars too. Families who thought they were safe because they weren't buying anything new are suddenly finding themselves trapped in higher tax brackets. Now let's turn to diesel, and here the story gets even bleaker. Diesel drivers have already been hit hard over the last decade. Once promoted as the cleaner, more efficient alternative, diesel is now the villain of the motoring world because of nitrogen oxide emissions. Under the new 2025 rules, diesel cars are going to be squeezed harder than ever before. Annual car tax bills for some diesel owners are expected to soar past £600 a year. That is before we even consider the extra charges from expanding clean air zones, which are being rolled out in cities from Birmingham to Manchester to Bristol. If you own an older Euro 4 or Euro 5 diesel, you will face the toughest penalties. And for drivers in rural communities, where diesel is often the only practical choice for towing, farming, or long-distance driving, this feels deeply unfair. Many feel they are being punished for decisions encouraged by government policy in the past. Now let's talk electric cars. Perhaps the most controversial decision in this entire overhaul is the scrapping of tax-free status for EVs. For years, the government pushed drivers to make the switch to electric by promising zero car tax, zero fuel costs, and a cheaper, greener future. Thousands of drivers took the plunge, often paying premium prices for EVs, with the understanding they'd save money long-term. But from 2025, all electric cars, whether brand new or second-hand, will pay a flat annual tax of around £180. At first glance, some people may say, well, £180 isn't that bad compared to a diesel bill of £600. And that's true. But what makes this change explosive is the betrayal that many EV owners feel. People bought these cars under the promise of permanent exemption. Now that deal has been ripped up. And it doesn't stop there. If your EV costs more than £40,000, you'll face an additional luxury car levy, meaning drivers of Teslas and high-end models will pay significantly more. This is a symbolic shift. The government's message is crystal clear. The era of freebies for EVs is over. Everyone must pay their share. And what about hybrids? For years, hybrid vehicles have been seen as the best of both worlds, offering reduced emissions, better fuel economy, and lower taxes. But under the new system, hybrids are losing their privileged status. Instead of sitting in lower bands, hybrids will be treated much more like petrol cars. That means annual increases of £50, £100, or even £150, depending on the model. Plug-in hybrids, which use both electric and petrol power, will face the steepest rises. The government says this closes a loophole, arguing that hybrids still burn fuel and still contribute to emissions. Essentially, the DVLA now sees hybrids as a temporary bridge, not a permanent solution. This could push more drivers to abandon hybrids altogether and move fully into the EV market. So, does anyone escape these hikes? Yes, but only a few. Exemptions will remain for historic vehicles, more than 40 years old, disabled drivers who receive certain mobility-related benefits, Motability Scheme vehicles, which will stay tax-free, agricultural and farm vehicles, which are excluded from VED altogether. But let's be clear, these exemptions are tightly controlled. Drivers will need to reapply or prove eligibility. The days of easy loopholes are over. And it's not just the costs going up, enforcement is being supercharged. The DVLA is rolling out more automatic number plate recognition cameras nationwide, giving them real-time tracking of who has and hasn't paid their car tax. The penalties are severe, a fine of up to £1,000 for driving an untaxed vehicle. Repeat offenders risk having their car clamped, towed, or even crushed. Miss a direct debit payment? You could face an immediate fine with very little room for appeal. On top of that, driving without car tax also invalidates your insurance, meaning you could face even harsher consequences if you're caught. The message from the DVLA is blunt: no more free rides, no more excuses. So why is the government doing this? Officially, ministers argue that Britain's roads are becoming more expensive to maintain. EV adoption is eating into Treasury revenues, and climate change targets demand urgent action. But critics say this is little more than a stealth tax. With families already struggling under the weight of food inflation, energy bills, and mortgage costs, higher motoring expenses feel like another financial punishment. This is the heart of the debate: balancing environmental goals with the reality of ordinary households' budgets. So how can you prepare and protect yourself? Here are 5 steps every driver should take before 2025. Check your car's tax band today using the DVLA's online tool. Estimate your new annual costs based on the revised thresholds. Consider upgrading to a cleaner, newer vehicle if your current model is facing a steep jump. Set up direct debit payments to avoid fines and keep your tax up to date. Check exemptions if you're disabled, on Motability, or own a historic vehicle, make sure your paperwork is correct. Being proactive could save you hundreds of pounds and prevent costly penalties. This car tax overhaul is not just about money. It represents a fundamental shift in the UK's approach to driving. For decades, the government encouraged drivers to switch fuels from petrol to diesel, from diesel to hybrids, and now from hybrids to EVs. Each time, incentives were dangled. But as we can see, incentives are temporary. Rules change, taxes rise, and at the end of the day, drivers always end up paying. This is the bigger picture. No matter what you drive, no matter how clean your vehicle is, the government wants to ensure everyone contributes to road funding. The free ride is over. That means the cost of motoring will keep rising and flexibility will be key. Drivers who stay informed, adapt quickly, and make smart decisions about their vehicles will be the ones who come out ahead. Thank you for watching Pensioners Power. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with others. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you in the next video with more insights on the issues that affect the UK. Take care and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for all the latest updates.